Good day, everyone. I hope you had a great month. We're back with another walkthrough here. Just looking to make sure that the audio is all right. I did test it beforehand, so I'm hoping that for a positive output. All right, seems like I'm coming out loud and clear. Perfect, guys. For those who are new, those who don't know me, my name is Psycho, or short for Psycho Slave. That's the handle I go online by, but my name is Tony Roy. I worked in IT. I've worked in IT for a while. I hold a couple of different certification. EGPT. I recently got the Security Plus, and I'm working on HackTheBox CPTS, which is if you haven't done any of the Hack the Box Academy. I highly recommend that you take a look at it. It might look a little bit expensive at first, but trust me, it's worth every single penny of it. And when you look at the end of it, it's not too expensive for the amount of training you're getting. You're also getting a certification out of it, so totally worth checking if you ask me. Now, today we will be going through Redpanda, which is we haven't done an easy box. I feel in a couple of months. Mainly been focused on medium boxes. So I'm hoping this one is not too easy. So it's not something that we're gonna fly through it because there's a whole lot of code analysis. Um, Being a programmer with a huge background in programming, that actually helps me, but the code that's featured here is not something that I've learned, so it's not a language I'm familiar with. So it would still, I like to say that code is basically at the end of it, it just loops and functions, and uh, the syntax is pretty much similar from one language to another. Sometimes you do get the odd differences. There's no way, shape, or form is Python looking like a PHP code. It's not what I'm trying to say, but when you look at it fundamentally, like the structure and everything, it's all the same basis. So if you kind of understand what's going on when you're reading the code, I feel you get the job done essentially. Um, like I said, Panda is an easy Linux box on the HackTheBox platform. It was created by OOX Wooden K. I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly. Definitely want to give out some shout outs because I did find this box really, really fun. The box was released just a little bit short of a year ago, July 9th, 2022. Um, the, um, the, the, the initial access is through server-side and template injection (SSTI). It's also there's also an interesting requirement that basically you need to stay on the initial reverse shell, otherwise you kind of lose privileges. So you cannot do a key pair. If you do that to get like SSH access, you lose. I'll show you later. I'll show you down when we get there. But you kind of lose access, basically it's required to be able to do the box. So if you lose those access that privileges, it won't work. The second part of the box, like I said, you have to analyze a lot of Java code to get privilege access through an XXC attack. And overall, I thought this box was fun, and so let's get started with the skills I think you need to do this. So I haven't listed a whole lot of skills for this box. Obviously, you'll see that one pop here and there, the odd kung fu skill. You need to be able to Google your way to find payloads, and I mean, it's not mandatory. Those are quite relatively easy payloads to find, so you should be able to. I'm just checking because I lost access to my machine while I was talking, so I'll just shut it down and I'll start it back in a second here, because otherwise, yeah. All right. So and you need to know what SSTIs are. Perform the initial attack. Um, Basic programming skills. I mean, this one I haven't done any Java before, but I was still able to analyze the code and understand a little bit what's going on in there. I haven't listed that in the skills, but you need to be able to do some basic SXC attack. Um, just to be able to pull some files from the server. That's the last part of the box. And the tools you'll need the good old Nmap to do the port scan, and you need Zap or Burp. We're gonna use Zap this time just to keep things interesting. We used Burp a couple of times now. Perfect. So let's get started. I'm just going to spawn this box here because kind of died on me. All right, so perhaps while the box is started, I can just go over through the port scan, because we're definitely not going to wait for the port scan to go through. Box should be about to start. So we usually start enumerating this box using Nmap. So we would do the su sudo Nmap minus capital A capital T minus capital T 4, and then minus dash P dash for all ports, and then we would enter the IP address of the box, which we got here. And I would normally just save the normal output to like nmap full or something like that, right? And as soon as I typed the nmap, the box came up. So we'll just shut that one up here because we don't need this. Perfect. All right. So basically, I like to do like the full port scan. Normally, what I'll do on a real engagement is that I'll have this one running. Sometimes with a little bit more scan, depending on how noisy I can be, and I'll run another one in parallel that just a couple of ports just to get things started, basically. But here, I don't really have to do all of this because I already have done all the port scan. And here's a copy of it. So essentially, we got the port 22 open and port 8080. There's a web server sitting on there. As per usual, we're not going to jump to SSH quite yet. We're gonna jump right through the port 8080 with the with the web browser here. Kind of lost for words. Usually I talk quite a bit and I'm not lost for words, so I apologize. So here we have this little cute little panda search. So I'm just gonna minimize it so it's all in one screen. And I mean, if we do a search, it tries to do this search. There's no result, obviously. So let's see what's possible here. What are we able to do? So perhaps we want to say $ data. Oh, we got banned characters. So perhaps that's the $. All right, so the $ is banned. Perfect. I'm not gonna go through the whole freaking list of things. So I'm just gonna start burp right away. So pen testing. We're on the pawn box here. Just a web box provided by HackTheBox. So we don't need to have our own Linux. Everyone can do it. You just browse to it. Basically, you got a VM running in your browser. Pretty neat, right? So Zap is just gonna load up here. While it's booting up, I'm gonna tell Firefox to use it. So don't want persistence. There's no need for that. Not now, anyway. Usually, you'd probably want persistence. I'm not going to update any of those plugins because I don't need them. I'll put that in full screen because Zap can be in a handful sometimes. Let's see if we get the page. Alright, it's because it's trying in HTTPS for whatever reason. Last time I checked here, cool. Alright, that's all good. Perfect. Okay. It just takes a little bit of time basically to load everything, I guess. Now we see our requests in Zap. It's because we don't have the certificate imported. That's why, and that's why we don't see the HUD here. And all the basically there's like a debugging interface at the bottom, and there's HUDs that you can do attacks right up from the web page, so you don't need to go back and forth like this. You can just press buttons right here. But we don't need that for now. So what we're gonna do? We're just gonna do that search, and here in Zap we have our 3. We'll do attack. We're gonna do fuzz because that's what we want to do. And here we're gonna add this field right here. Name DFH is what I typed in randomly. We're gonna do add in a string, but I already have a file. There's already a couple of files actually available for you guys, but I have one that I've made, just basically a bunch of characters, special chars. So basically a bunch of special characters, and we're gonna use that, and let's fuzz that. So let's see. It does it pretty fast compared to burp, so that's why I did that. Like you've seen, like within seconds, we got the 32, 32 requests sent. A couple of requests came back to hundreds. Um, so essentially, that means that those were good. Here it says you search for this. That's what I was looking for, and we got some 500s, basically that are error page. We'll take a look at those later, and we got 400s. And the 400s, funny enough, this one shows an error page, but yeah, this one's an error. Four hundreds are bad requests, essentially. Let's take a look at the 500s. There's a couple of them that not too much, but if you look at the characters, if I move this over here and look at the characters, like parentheses plus slash, like an escape sign, those curly brackets, and hand percent for the 400. I mean, normally if you had like quotes or like stuff like that, it'd be more like, I'd be more leaning towards perhaps a SQL injection, but now I'm more towards like a template injection. So let's go back to our thing here, and let's try 4 times 4, see if that works. And that's not going to work. And so we'll try 4 times 4, and that doesn't seem to work either. But if we do it this way, we get the 16. Oh. So now if we throw him an error, or one of those just curly brackets, we get this white label error page, right? So that's kind of the what we're gonna need later on to basically find what type of application that is. But here, we're getting code execution. Like, if we type star and then this payload, it says we search for 16, but we didn't search for 16. We searched for this here. So it means that it actually goes and execute our code, right? So let's so if we go back to if we go back to the error page, white label error page, and we open this and we search for that, like, what is it? White label error page, everything seems to mention Spring Boot. So what the heck is Spring Boot? So Spring Boot. So Spring Boot is like it's a framework for Java. So basically like a Laravel or a Flask for Java. So okay, now perhaps it can gives us, we can find some SSTI, and sure enough, you can see that I've went to I go pretty often to this site here. which is the Actrix. So if we scroll down the Actrix, we can see all kind of different payloads, and the one that kind of works for us is Spring. So there's a couple here, but I think the underscores are banned. Um, so we're almost there, I think. Let's just search for Spring Framework. Here's the payload. So we're just gonna copy this one, go back to our good old trusted browser. So what we're gonna do here basically is we're gonna do this, and we're gonna open the request editor. And instead of this here, we're gonna paste this one. And but I don't like that format, so let me just put it this way here. And if we send this, it says that we search for, we get an ID. All right, so we got code execution from this here, this application, but here's the thing. We would be tempted to just throw reverse shell over here, but with the amount of banned characters, I don't think it's a viable option. So perhaps we can take a look if there's curl on this box. So if we 10.10.14.6, so we're gonna curl HTTP 10.10.14.6 on port 8000, and let's just start the web server. Python HTTP server, perfect. And then we're gonna do the send request. And sure enough, I mean, it listed all we had in our folder, so that works. All right. So perhaps our best course of action would be to create a reverse shell in the file. So let's do this. Nano, let's call it psycho.sh, then shebang bin.bash, and let's put and we have our shell like that. And basically that should be, we should be able to save this. So I already know what's going to be the outcome, but let's do it like I did it earlier today. So we're going to take this, we're going to output it to temp psycho.sh. Actually, we need to add the psycho.sh file. Otherwise, we're not going to pull that file. So we're going to pull that. Now it saves it. We can see that. And now we can probably run that file, right? So let's try bash temp psycho.sh. We need to start the listener and see this. All right, we got our shell. It didn't work for me earlier, so so I'm in the temp folder basically. I created myself a file in the temp folder. Now, this is where I'll show you why you can't do a file, because here you see my user is 1000. Is the user 1000. There's no other users on this box, but if we take a look at the groups, like I'm part of this group, but there's also the logs group, which right now if I do ID, I'm part of the logs group. But if I was to log in with, like, let's say creating a key pair and making sure that that key pair is authorized to log in through SSH, I would lose that GID logs, and I wouldn't be able to carry that attack. Just keep that in mind, because took me a while to figure it out, because I couldn't find anything on the box, and basically it's because I didn't keep my accesses. I got rid of the access. So if we go to the user to the home, we got our user flag. And from here, we're basically getting to the privilege escalation. So I talked a little bit about the groups and everything. I showed you why we needed like the logs user. Now, if we do PSX, because I tried to do like sudo, I could have done like secure my terminal or whatnot, but I mean, there's no cron on the user, but there's this process that runs. So basically, we know what the web folder is, right? OPT panda search, and it kind of makes sense because that's what it was. It was a search with the panda face, right? And here we can see everything is owned by root except that Redpanda file. So if we take a look at the redpanda.log, there's nothing in it. Okay. And sure enough, I mean, if, like I said, there's something kind of fishy about this, because everything is owned by root except that log file. And somehow, through the web server, we got access. We got access to the log group, right? And that gives us access to that log file. We got right access. So it might come out handy later. Let's keep that in mind. And from there's, I mean, all the source code. But if we go down from one folder, we can see there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. And there's this file that basically deletes files from temp and SHM, from Woody, deletes all JPEG and all XML. So maybe there's something about XML and JPEG and files, right? But we can't really. Yeah, we have access to that, but we don't really have access to the folders where he wants to delete those files. perhaps let's take a look at that Redpanda log file. Not sure if it's used somewhere else, and it kind of seems to be used a couple of places. So sorry about that. Yeah, I guess it's not cool because of the frame. I guess yeah, I have to make sure that because I'm kind of losing a part of the screen, right? I apologize about that. Didn't realize that that was going on. Um, so essentially, I'm just gonna go back a little bit quickly. Just so the users basically wooden case the user I'm logged in as. I'm group ID 1000, and from here we have access to that logs group that's 1001. But if we created the key pair, we would only have a group access. So that's basically what I was rambling about. Now, once we get to this application, we see that the red panda log file is we have the everything is owned by root except that log file. So perhaps we can leverage that to get access. So that's because of all that. That's why I kind of search for the Red Panda log in that OPT folder just to make sure, just to figure out what's its involvement, right, with the application. So it's in the binary file right here. It's another binary file right there, and there's also two mentions in two different files. So this file seems to be writing to it. And this file doesn't really say much, but let's start with the first file. So let's cd so this is where the reverse engineering code, the understanding of the code kind of helps you. And I'm glad we caught the problem with the terminal beforehand, because that would have been a nightmare for you guys to understand with only half the screen. Let me just close a couple of things here. All right, because the transparency is kind of killing it. Perfect. So we got this class, and we got the parse log function. Essentially, what it seems to do is it splits the string. It's given a string, and it splits it. And the hash map basically in Java. I had to look it up, but what it is it's kind of like an array. So you get all of these and basically put part of that string into the hash map. Then there's this isImage function. Basically only checks whether if the file name contains a .jpeg. It returns true or false based on that. There's the getArtist command, and this is a little bit interesting because it seems to be taking this folder right here, and it's attaching just the URI to it. It's just tagging the URI, and that seems to be where the image is based on this, because it's loading a JPEG file, just based on the name of the variable. and then the metadata, it seems to read the metadata, but then if you look at it, it looks for all the tags. So it seems like it's reading like an EXIF data, and then it gets the artist tag, right? And if it can't get to the artist tag, it just returns an NA. And then there's commands a little bit. Um, I'll keep it for later. It's a little bit to chew on. But let's just go to the main, because main is usually the first command that's get launched. And the reason it's being the last command, because it needs to be aware of all those commands. Otherwise, you'd have to have references to the commands coming afterwards. So keep that in mind. Main, if you see main, that's the very first command of the program that's being run. So here we can see that it loads the Redpanda log file, and then it scans for it. It runs a scanner, which is it just reads it, I guess, and then it goes through a loop as next line. So it seems to be just reading from the file on every single line, right? And then it checks if it's not an image. So on that line, if it runs that image code. So if an image is not on that line, essentially, continue will make it so all this code here doesn't get executed. It just goes back to the loop, essentially. It doesn't return. If you return, you basically end the program. But continue is basically you want to end the loop here. So if there's another line, basically the while will be going again. But if there's no other line, the program would be stopping, essentially. But if there's an image, if there's an image, it will keep going. So it will parse log, which is that first command we seen it. So basically it does all that split, right? Once it splits it, it prints it. We don't see it because we don't have screen access, but it prints it. And then it gets the artist. That's where it uses that function to get the metadata, like the EXIF data, basically, of the JPEG. And then it prints it again. And then that's where it kind of reads like an XML file. So based on the artist name that it pulled from that JPEG, it builds a path to an XML file, which it runs the add view to, which we're going to take a look at later. But let's move to that folder first. Let's move through all those folders. So if we do a CD to this file, and then there's an image folder, and there's a bunch of file, but so there's a lazy. We'll do image lazy.jpg, see if we can pull it from the web page. And sure enough, there's a cute little red panda here. We'll save the image because we want to take a look at that image, right? Now, once we save the image to, we'll open another shell. I'll remember to drag it down a little bit. And that other shell basically we'll read the EXIF data of lazy. And sure enough, we can see wooden key, which is our username, the user we're logged in. So what happens is that if it sees that we went to that file, it reads wooden K from the artist, right? And then it reads, right? It parse all those lines, which is that log file. So if we take a look at the log file, we may or may not have any entry. We do have entry for the lazy, right? So once it reads that entry, it basically tagged that URI to the end of that path. It reads the file and it checks for the artist. Then it throws the artist in here and builds this path. So I wonder if that application, I mean, it kind of looks like it could potentially be exploitable to an XXC attack just because it reading this XML. And that's basically what we're gonna see here. It's basically it parses and then writes back to that XML file. So essentially that's what ends up being the vulnerability. So if we could 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 folders. So we can potentially escape out of there. And let's see if that works for us. So first of all, we're going to need to create or change that exif data here. And what we want is, well, we want an entry that once it reads here, we want to be able to point it to whatever. So there's only one folder, so // and then whatever folder, and then we could name it psychocred.xml, right? If we do this, let's do this here. We'll write this exif data using the exif tool. And we want to write the artist, and we said the // that tmp / psycho, and we're gonna do that on the lazy file, right? We're going to rename that lazy file to psycho.jpg just to not confuse us. Now, let's go to the temp folder and do, we can do a curl 10, 10, 14, 6, 8000, right? We want psycho.jpg. Whoops, kind of killed my, I killed my shell. Let me just do that again. Get my shell back. So I want to do curl, but I need to do an output, right? 10, 10, 14, 6. Oh. 8000 psycho.jpg and we want to output it to temp cycle dot JPEG, right? So now what we want to do is we need, and I hopefully I didn't kill it. Actually, I did. So we're gonna do a cat OPT, and it's panda search redpanda.log. Yeah, that's the file. So all right, so we'll read that file again because we need an entry to be able to replicate, right? We have the entry. Now we just need to copy this one, do an echo. Now the payload we want to use is that I should have brought the code here. Let me. So grep ir redpanda log everywhere, and I want to cat this here, not this one, this one. Because basically we want to change this path here to /temp psycho, so we need 6 dot slash to be able to escape that URI. And all right, so we know exactly what we're gonna have to do. So we take back the echo here. And what we want to have is that we want to modify that last pat, right? So we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 temp cycle dot JPEG, and we want to shoot that to OPT panda search redpanda log oops, I forgot my closing coat. Close coat, and this thing here. Now if we cat that file, we should have our entry. Which we don't because I didn't hurry up. And I also need my file here, so I need to create this. So I forgot to create a couple of things here first. So the folder, the credits /credits, and we can see the wooden K creds All we have to do is take that file here and create the cycle.creds.xml. Oh, we can't do that, so we need to we don't need the whole this whole thing. So what we're gonna do is we'll I just need a text editor. Yeah, there it is. So I just need to remove some of those. Don't need those. Basically, the file we want to access is slash dot dot slash 6 times. One, two, three, four, five, six. Temp cycle.tjpg. The other is cycle. And what we want to do here is basically we want to add this. So if we do XXC payload, again, we're going to be brought to, if we scroll down, we brought to HackTricks. And HackTricks will give us the payload we need. So we have this payload right here. We're going to copy that, bring this to our terminal, and just need to put this. I have the problem with the text file again. Sorry. Eventually I'll learn. And to test, we're just going to do /etc password just to make sure that it works. And it's fun because we're parsing it, we don't really need to be using something special here. So we're just gonna add data, and this is how we call the XXC. Basically, is that we call the entity called external, and it reads that file. So that's the file we're gonna create. And let's just bring it here. I just want to close all those windows because transparency is being something I'm not going to say. And all right, we got our files. And we want a cat or echo. We want to echo this. To cycle underscore creds.xml. Right? So that's the file we're going to be exploiting. Now let's run this command again, and this will poison our log, and we should get the password file. You can see it's there. I'm just gonna refresh a few times. Perhaps we read the cycle creds.xml. Hasn't been updated yet. As soon as it reads that file, it should. So it hasn't deleted it yet. But it hasn't put in the file either. Not sure how long the cron job is set up for. still there. Oh, so it deleted the log file, but okay, so something's wrong here. Cycle creds.xml. Right, that's good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 should be good as well. So let's take a look. If we do an ls on that file, does it exist? Yes, it does. One, two, three, four, five, six. Temp cycle JPEG. Something I didn't do right. Let's give it a try again. So paste this. And then we basically have this file here. So let's go back to the code. Make sure we got everything right. So it reads through, it parses through that log. So it goes in here, divide everything. The URI is the last one. Checks whether it's JPEG, and then it tags all of that. But we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 escape it and go to /temp. We look for artists. Make sure that the exif tool for Psycho. .temp Psycho. So if we get to that other folder here, it's gonna do /temp Psycho. So basically /temp Psycho creds. It still read that file, but didn't execute my code. I did something wrong here. Extend URI view. I ran into the same thing when I did it. So it copies that code, and then He escapes this to read the file, which is temp JPEG. Checks the artist, and then the artist is /temp /temp cycle creds. XD cycle .jpeg grep temp. So it's the right thing. That's in the in the JPEG. So reads that JPEG. Data. URI. Oh, did I broke? I think my cycle creds is not good. That's the problem. Okay. It has a credit, but just before that, it needs a total views. So I kind of broke my thing when I put it in. Alright, so cat this into that. Psycho creds.xml. Make sure it's the right file. Okay, yeah, echo, not a cat. We'll get there. We'll get there. Apologize, guys. Cycle creds.xml. All right. Cycle creds.xml, and we should have the right file now. Perfect. We just need to poison the log for like the 100,000th time. Where's that echo? There it is. And now we should execute correctly. And if we cat Panda search, Redpanda log. It's still there. Redpanda.log. And there it is. So we got all this goodness here. So there's two ways we can proceed here. Let's go with the way that would give you persistence, basically, and then let's go for the lazy way afterwards. So essentially, now we know we can read files, and we kind of know that it's being read as root because that log file, only us and root has access to it. Like, no other users exist on this box, so it's either, and the program is not accessible by us, so it has to be root. Now, we'll take a look if there's an ID RSA file, and spoiler alert, there is. So if we do an echo file to psycho creds, so we're just basically changing that XML file, right? Putting back our XXC because here it kind of wiped that XXC away. And we're just going to inject our log one more time. The exact same payload because it's the same file. So once the payload executes, we get the key file. We copy this key file here. Just going to minimize that and that. Put this in here. Change mod 600. And then you SSH -I root key root at this IP address right here. And if we say yes, we have our root, right? But there's another way we could have done that. I mean, if that's too much trouble, we could have just done root.txt, right? And we just drop this in here. Echo, paste, close this. Psycho creds.xml. We're gonna poison the log one more time. And once we hit that cat creds, as soon as that command run, or we get the flag, right? So, in a nutshell, that was Panda. That's why I kind of picked this box because I mean the privilege escalation kind of take a little bit of time before you get there. So you do get a little bit of content, and plus a little 10-minute that I got screwing with my payload kind of added time to the stream. I thought the relative access to the box was pretty easy, but afterwards it's kind of a lot of figuring out and playing around with things and making sure you have the right payload, right? So I've never really wrote Java application, but just because I've been coding for quite a while, I thought the box was sorry, I thought the box was pretty fun, and I had a fun time resolving it, and I didn't have any much problem understanding what the code was telling me. So I hope you like the walkthrough of Panda, and I again I wanted to shout out to the creator because I thought that was a good box to run through. Our next meetup seems like it will be on June 24th. Um, I'm not quite sure what the box will be yet, but I guess stay tuned. I'm hoping to be publishing those those write up and those announcements at least a week or two in advance now. So I'll try to get it going this week. Um, that way I can announce it in advance, and we might have someone joining me on the crew here. So that might be interesting. I'll keep you guys posted. Um, Thanks, Mayo. I thought that was pretty cool too. It reminded me of my days with the HackTheBox Ottawa group. We did a lot of XXC back then. Because of it, I thought myself at one point as an XXC expert. I don't think I am anymore though. But yeah, that those and GWT like the tokens, Java Web Tokens. Um, I'm pretty well versed in them. All right. Well, I hope we'll see you guys again on next week. I apologize for the clap there. I wasn't expecting to hit the red. Um, so we'll see you on the 24th. And until then, keep hacking. You have a good one, guys.